This is the SwishWire podcast.
Welcome to the SwishWire podcast. We had a wild March, but now we are in pre-draft mode, and we've got a stud with us today. I'm not talking about Mitch. I'm talking about the co-MVP of the American Athletic Conference, sophomore star guard for the Shockers of Wichita State, Mr. Tyson Etienne. Welcome to SwishWire. Thanks for joining us today, Tyson.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, guys.
Of course. We'll get right down to it. All right. When did you know you were legit? That moment that like a lot of ballers have where they just know like, shit, I am meant to be out here. I'm meant to be a basketball player. Did you have one of those?
Yeah, I think the moment I knew that I, probably could do something with basketball was I think my sophomore year of high school, the last game of our season. Before I went to Long Island Lutheran, I went to a little small private school in New Jersey called Dwight Englewood. Not really known to be a basketball school, but we were playing in the state sectional final versus Hudson Catholic. They had Javon, they had Luther, Lewis King. And, we went in as the underdogs and, everybody thought we were going to get blown out. But during that game, I think I finished with like 31. I had like 15 boards, 8 assists. We ultimately lost. They were great players on the other team. But I think in that moment, I knew that I could compete with everybody. I knew that I could do something. I didn't know what level I could go to, but I knew I could do something with the game.
I mean, damn, man. Look at you now, though. That's the thing. If that spark is what led you to this one.
Yeah.
So then I want to get into a little bit more of like sort of your past and your present. So not including your current teammates, though. Who's the best player you've played with? And then on the other side, who's the best guy you've played against?
I kind of got it's like a tie though. Like it's like 3 dudes, or I think like they have different reasons why I say it's a tie.
Gotcha.
Andre Curbelo, who was my teammate at Long Island Lutheran, James Booknight, who was my teammate on PSA Cardinals, and third, I'm gonna have to say nobody knows him. When I say this name, everybody's like, who is this? His name is Donatas Koupsis. He was also my Long Island Lutheran teammate. He's a 4-man. He's from overseas. But he was just really talented. He really could, stretch the floor, shoot the ball. He goes to Weber State now. But he was just a great player that I played with. And I think those 3 guys, in their own respective rights, were probably 3 of the best players that I played with. Against, I'd probably say the best player I played against is Anthony Edwards for sure.
Well, that's a great one.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a game to watch right there.
Yeah.
It's funny that you actually mentioned that Dwight Englewood game. So I'm from Jersey. I
really?
went to Montclair State.
I know where you're from.
Yeah, so I grew up playing against Dwight Englewood.
Yeah.
I was at that game, that Hudson Catholic game.
Oh, really?
See you guys, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's funny.
That's crazy.
Watching you play, there are a lot of names that I could throw out there that your style is similar to, but I'm curious if there's anyone that you've watched and tried to take parts of their game, try to kind of mold yourself after.
I think the greatest players take from everybody. So that's definitely something I do. But if I had to pick one guy in particular, it'd definitely be Damian Lillard. From a physical standpoint, from a skill standpoint, from a mentality standpoint, that's the guy that when I really look to, who do I want to shape my game after? That's the guy that, I pinpoint.
That's great.
Yeah. I see that shiftiness in your game, that Lillard shit, that game time. One of the things that I want to touch on is obviously basketball runs in your blood. I mean, your family's got ties to Camby, DeAndre Jordan, both guys who have been in that Jersey setting. I mean, what are some ways that they've helped your game? Has it if you've been able to look and be like, oh, this is the path they've taken, or if they reached out to you kind of thing?
I think DJ is he's like a big brother to me. So, I kind of talk to him like he's like my friend, my boy. And he's always just been there for support, whatever I need, just making sure I'm good. But, my Uncle Marcus, he's been there since he was there when I was born. He's been in my life, every single year. So I think he's just like another father figure I have, giving me advice, giving me guidance on and off the court, especially, going into what I'm about to go into, those guys definitely would be somebody, or would be two people that I rely on heavily, just to, the ins and outs of what I'm about to embark on and what I'm getting ready to ascend to. So, their guidance, their help has been invaluable, and I'm extremely appreciative that it lined up that they're close members of my family.
So I'm curious, just kind of going off of that, what's something that they've sort of told you about to get ready, to look for as you're getting ready for this draft?
Just, take one day at a time, don't get too high, don't get too low, enjoy the process of it, take every training session, every drill as it's your last, because, it's 450 guys in the league. Everybody's fighting to get in the league. And then it's hard when you get there, it's hard to stay in. So it's just like making sure that you're approaching every day with the mentality of, look, I belong in this league. I'm going to stay in this league, and I intend to be a great player in this league. So it's just about a mentality thing. They know that I'm responsible. They know I'm mature. I can handle the lifestyle. It's just about, the mentality of always, wanting to achieve more.
That's great advice. That's great advice. And, mentioning kind of going off of the Dwight Englewood, New Jersey connection, you are part of a new era of talent to come out of New Jersey and explode onto the scene in college. Right out of the gate at Wichita State, you averaged about 10 points a game, 39% from three, started over half the games. So what did playing that sort of level and talent in high school do to prepare you for that next level?
I think starting off in Jersey, I think, obviously, Jersey basketball is, one of the top states in the country when it comes to basketball players, and, the players we produced. Growing up, somebody that I played closely with, and, one of my closest friends to this day is Javon Quinterly. And, I'm just proud of him and what he's done this year after what he's been going through for the past couple seasons. Me and him have been playing again together since we were like 8. Obviously we went to different high schools, but, he's somebody like, if I had to have a fourth person, that'd probably be one of the best players I ever played with as well. But, in Jersey, it's just hard nosed. It's gritty. There's no shot clock. So you really got to grind. Possessions might be 40 seconds. But I think what really, like, when my career really started to take a shift was when I transferred to Long Island Lutheran in New York. And I think that's when I really began to hone my skills and, embrace the fact that, I could do something with the game of basketball.
That's beautiful in that shit. So speaking more on the legacy kind of view, as a freshman, you threatened a lot of legacies. You finished with the second most threes, right behind current pro, Landry Shamet, which, again, that Brooklyn energy for that. You finished 5th in steals. You're only one of the 6 players, period, to average 2 threes a game last season before the shutdown. Tied the Wichita State freshman record. We can talk about all the stuff in the book for days.
I didn't even know all this.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like you have threatened to scratch just the surface of everything in the history of basketball. So what I want to ask you is, like, does that stuff weigh on you? Because you said you didn't know about this, but you, as like a guy who I like to look past the accolades kind of thing. So to you, it's just taking each day, not to overwhelm yourself kind of thing, or do you like to look at these records kind of thing?
I mean, like, I'm big on, the main thing is the main thing. You focus on getting wins, and, in my role, I had to perform at a high level in order for us to get wins. So my focus is on that. I believe that, the accolades, everything else is, comes as a byproduct. That's a product of your dedication to your process. So, like, I truly didn't know I had all these, statistics. So, I don't really ever focus on that. Obviously, I intend to have great accolades in my NBA career, but, my focus is on getting better each day and ultimately, being one of the best to play the game. So I don't pay attention to that stuff, but, I'm grateful and humbled that I am in talks with great players and able to do, those type of things.
Yeah. Like greatness follows greatness. And clearly you've scratched that one into that.
Yeah. And, talking about getting yourself to that next level, playing at a higher level. That showed in every single second you were on the court this year. And clearly the conference felt the same way. They named you co-MVP along with Quentin Grimes from Houston, another great baller. I know you said it doesn't mean much for those accolades, but it had to feel pretty nice being selected to, especially so early in your career, being selected as a co-MVP.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know. I knew I had made an argument. I knew I had made my case. I didn't know because we weren't, the top 10 team in the country. We were great in the conference, but we had no number next to our name for the country. I didn't even know that they could give co-MVPs. I thought it was either one or you did it, and I was like, I'll make first team. They probably will give it to Quentin Grimes because his team is just at a certain height right now. But, when I got the news that I made it, I was just extremely grateful, for myself because I knew the work that I put in, but I also know like I won the award because also like all the people that played a part in getting me to this point, like during COVID, like, that so many kids didn't have the opportunity to train, but
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to have a gym, to have a weight room provided by this man named Joe Jackson up in North Jersey.
I know Joe very well. Joe's my boy.
One of my good friends, Isaac Green, he was my trainer at the time. We were in there every single day, working on, the stuff that you guys saw in manifestation on the court this year. And my other trainer, John Hawthorne, we were working every single day, both those guys 2 times a day, just working on my game, and so I won that for them, for my family, for my other trainers, and just for the team, for the city. I know they haven't had a player of the year in many years. So, just to do that was just a accumulation of all the people that played a role in it.
Yeah.
That's great. I love the shout out to Joe Jackson and Goki. That's
Joe
Jackson,
Jackson,
I
bro.
love
Yeah, man.
At the towards the end of the season, you guys kind of had a real nail biter against Drake. And from a few different interviews, it kind of seems like that was one of the things that stuck with you. And what separates the goods from the greats is taking those losses and those failures and building upon them.
Yeah.
So what were you able to take away from that? Because I know you're a guy who just takes those failures and umps them up.
Obviously, posted, I feel like, I hadn't done everything to get to this point. I didn't, obviously my team did great jobs in their roles, but I feel like I had, willed us to a point to get to this spot. And I feel like, in the moment, I didn't come through, and I was upset. Then I had to take my time to just calm down and analyze the entire situation.
Yeah.
See how they guarded me. But I think like, people have those type games on that type stage, and, that might be the detriment of a career. Career might go totally down after that. But I think for me, like, I feel like that 1 point game was a blessing. Like, I feel like because of what it's done for me mentally, what it's done for me, physically knowing what I need to do, I feel like the impression that it made on me and the impact that it's left on me, I feel like because I had that game, I'm going to be greater 10 years from now when I'm in a certain situation where it might be an NBA finals and, a team may be guarding me a specific way, but because I had the game versus Drake on March 18th and I failed, I'll be able to succeed 10 years from then because I had that game. So it's all about perspective. And I think that, I'm using it the way that's productive and efficient for myself.
Oh yeah. That's the mindset that the greats have. So that's good that you're starting right there.
That literally sounds to me exactly like an interview that I heard Dame Lillard give 10 years ago. He used to have those kind of things at Weber State, like things wouldn't go his way. Even similar to you, smaller guy, leading his team in a smaller conference against bigger dogs, and saying the same kind of stuff. I learned something today. We lost, but I learned something today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's honestly, I think that's what's made him so great in the pros.
Yeah.
He knew how to take all that stuff and build on it.
Yeah.
And speaking of the draft, so a few days ago on the 18th, you declared, and you chose the 18th for a very specific reason, I believe.
Yeah.
It's a day that holds a lot of meaning for a lot of basketball players, but especially New Jersey guys. So I was very happy to hear that. I was wondering if you might be able to tell us why you chose that day.
Oh yeah. When I went into the process, I kind of I had made my decision, probably about a few days prior to it. But, back then I was like, if this is going to be if this is going to be my last year in college, I would like to, declare a certain day, and that's going to be April 18th, because that's when one of my closest friends, teammates had passed away to gun violence, 6 years ago. And, I feel like, I look at my life like I had two different lives. I had my life from when I was a baby up until April 17th, 2015. And then I had my life from April 18th, 2015 onward. It's just like when he lost his life, like my whole life shifted. Like, my whole mentality shifted. Obviously, you grieve and you feel all these mixed emotions. And I still deal with some of those, some of those effects, to this day. But, I dedicated myself to the game, for him because I know he couldn't play the game anymore. And he was so gifted, so talented. And he was going to be in this position. He was, he stayed on the right path. He was going to be somebody he was going to see in the NBA. So I made a promise and a vow to, make his dream a reality and to do it at a high level. So that's the importance behind April 18th is because like declaring for the draft is something I know that he had a goal for. And, I want to make sure that his goals are still living through me. So that's why I chose this date. And that's why I waited until this past Sunday to make my announcement.
I think that's such a beautiful way to honor that. And that's mad respect to you for, keeping that with you this whole time.
That means a lot to a lot of guys,
Yeah.
not just in the state, but all over.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I want to sort of prod your brain a bit. So your uncle and DJ, like both of them obviously have been through the process of, preparing themselves for their final year, leaving and that kind of thing. Agents and people representing you, that kind of stuff. Have you looked into having someone represent you, or have you gotten advice on being like, look, these are the kinds of things to expect? And if not, do you plan to?
Oh no, like I sit down with my family. Obviously, you're a certain caliber of player. There's going to be agents trying to talk to you. I haven't come to a decision on that. Right now I'm just preparing myself, for the process, getting feedback from teams. Just talking to my coaches back at school, and just taking everything one day at a time. I know that there's going to become a point where I'm going to have to entertain those conversations, but right now I'm just focused on development.
That's perfect grind mentality, bro. And there's another thing that I wanted to ask you, just a little poke at it. I'm a huge Raptors fan. Love my boy Freddie. Obviously, it's a little, I'm gonna ask the leading question. Is there a specific team, that you're looking forward to a workout for? Like if Toronto were to be like, hey,
of course. I mean, listen, for me in the position I am, I'm not walking to this draft as a lottery pick. Any team that gives me the chance, any team that invites me gives the opportunity to walk into their facility and to showcase myself in front of them. I'm grateful for the opportunity. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter long term. I think, I'm a Knicks fan. I'm always going to be a Knicks fan. I grew up a Knicks fan. So I think like ultimately I'd love to play for that organization, whether that comes now or if it comes 10 years from now, it doesn't matter to me. But as of right now, it doesn't matter what team invites me. It's just the right team's going to invite me.
Yeah. So I'm curious, you asked about advice that those guys have given you. You have the ties to NBA guys. You've got some connections at Wichita State to guys like Van Vliet. You've had two great coaches. You've had Greg Marshall. You've had Isaac Brown. Between growing up in Jersey, what's the best piece of advice that you've received about your game that you think someone else could also benefit from hearing?
Good question. The best piece of advice I'd say is not necessarily something that has to do with the physical. I think it's a mental thing. Okay. It's always about believing in yourself. Had that overwhelming confidence in yourself. And I'm not arrogant. I'm not cocky. When you ask me, I'm a humble kid. But you gotta, whatever you do, especially at this level, you have to have an overwhelming confidence. Like, you belong, you can do this, you can do, what you set your mind to. So I believe it's just about being you, being true to yourself and having that overwhelming confidence. And you just putting it on your back. It's going to be ups and downs on this journey, but, you just got to put it on your back and understand that you're still moving forward. Whether or not it seems like you're moving forward, you're still moving forward. So just keep going.
Well, that's great.
Perfect. That's perfect advice. One of the things for a lot of guys at your position, it may be small, 6'2". I can't say that because to me, you're another 7 inches on me kind of thing. But a lot of the times it comes down to the fact that they want it more. It's not about the size of the dog in the fight. It's about the fight in the dog kind of thing. So you make up for that on both ends of the floor, obviously you're like the heart that you give, a heart of a lion, you're fearless, that kind of thing. What gives you that like mental edge? Because like you said, it is all about the mentality, but is there like something that just clicks in your mind that's just like, I could battle with the giants kind of thing?
I think for me, if you look at me, you can be like, oh, this kid is really skilled. He's really talented. He has that skill, but I had to work for that. I had to work for that. It wasn't, I didn't walk onto a basketball court with the unbelievable hesitation move or, unbelievable ability, to score out the isolation or even catch and shoot. Like I had to work for everything. So like, just to get to this point, to make it to a Division I team, to even be in a point where I'm entering the draft, like for that to even happen, I had to work for everything. So it's like, I can't act cool on the court. I can't act like, it's whatever. Like I have to act with passion. I have to play with the demeanor that I play with, because that's what has helped me get here. That's what helps me survive. I can't lose that, because then I lose myself. I've had nobody ever gave me anything in this. Like I had to earn everything. I had to make myself, gain these opportunities. So it's just a mentality. Like when I see a basketball, I have to play, from that space. So that's what it is.
I mean, that's a great mindset to go into every single game and with. I mean, a lack of confidence is more crippling than an off night shooting the ball or any of that stuff. And you've got one of the smoothest shooting strokes in college basketball.
I appreciate that.
It's fun to watch, man. You've developed a lot of those Lillard's kind of off the dribble from three abilities, especially this past season between your freshman and your sophomore year. So I'm curious, what specifically were you working on this summer that developed that sort of skill?
Just shooting, I mean, I've always shot from deep, but just critiquing, being disciplined. Discipline is a huge thing. People always overlook like the small things, but there's like minute fixes that you can do in your game, and just being, concrete and disciplined on certain things, like making sure you're following through, making sure you're exhaling, making sure that you're getting your feet right. Like those are important things. And I can tell the difference on when I'm not disciplined. Okay. You'll see, like I know when a shot's gonna miss, because I was like, oh, I just let my hand drop. But when I stick to my mechanics, like I personally feel like I could shoot like 55% from the 3-point line. It's just about being disciplined and making sure that you're continuing to put the reps in. And, I shot from distance a lot this off season. Even the shots that people thought were super long this year, like they weren't long to me. Like I could have shot it further, but I know in college basketball, that's kind of frowned upon. But
when you're pulling up from 40, everybody looks at you like, whoa.
Yeah. It's just about practice. It's about repetition, and it's about the quality of it. Because you can go into a gym, shoot 1,000 shots, but if 500 your follow throughs are shooting this way, 500 you don't follow through at all, you didn't get better. It's different. That's a difference between shooting 50, but your follow through is the exact same way, the proper way. So it's just about consistent quality reps, I think, and then just having the confidence to take those shots.
Practice makes permanent. Yep.
That's amazing. So while we're on the topic of the mechanical side, you got to work with Chris Brickley, who is like the skills guru of basketball right now. So is there a part of your game that he really sat down and told you, like, this is a proper mechanic, or this is a way to like control that? Is there something specifically that he's told you?
We were practicing. I wasn't able to because of having to go back and forth to school. I wasn't able to work out with him as much. But he had taught me this one move that James Harden was doing. And it was, I can't really demonstrate right now, but it was just like hand placement, and what he was teaching me with hand placement, I thought it was really intelligent, really smart. And I'm still working on it. But I have something that I learned from him, and I'm grateful that I was able to work out with him the times I was able to.
That's great. Tyson, you've had a hell of a 2 seasons at Wichita State, hell of a high school career. I don't think it's out there to say that you've surpassed most people's immediate expectations and become a top player in the conference, whether you end up staying in the draft, return to Wichita State, whatever it might be. Man, we are psyched to see what the future holds for you. It is bright. Best of luck, brother, from all of us here at SwishWire.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
All right, thanks for.
It was a joy to be on. I appreciate it. I hope to do it again sometime. So thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Anytime you want back on, we'll be here.
All right, guys. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day.
You too. Thank you, man.
All right. Bye.